and I'll leave.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Body Geeks. Today I have the pleasure of asking Laura a question about an observation I made at a football game the other day. So I noticed that there was a team, Laura, that was static stretching at halftime. And I was like, wow, I didn't think that static stretching at halftime was actually good for performance.
Yeah, I love this question because traditionally static stretching has been done. Why? Probably because it increases the range of motion in theory, and has been shown in some cases and in certain applications to prevent injury because it gets the muscles more fluid and so forth. However, there are all different types of stretching, and what studies have shown is that the most effective type of stretching to do before a sporting event or in the middle of a sporting event even more is not static stretching. What static stretching does is it employs an aspect of neuromuscular inhibition called autogenic inhibition. And what happens with autogenic inhibition is you're holding a stretch for a long time. The Golgi tendon organs that are in the tendons that live on the end of your muscles, they perceive tension and rate of tension change. And when they perceive that the tension has been held there for 30 seconds or longer, static stretch, sometimes 20 seconds or longer, they inhibit the action or the contraction of that same muscle that is being stretched, so autogenic inhibition. If we are doing static stretching in the middle of a performance activity, we're decreasing the activity of those muscles, thereby decreasing our muscle control, maybe making ourselves slower. So static stretching is great for after the activity, when you really want everything to slow down, when you don't need those muscles to be ready to contract and ready to control your movements, right? So you have controlled agility, controlled speed. So what you want to do before a sporting event is dynamic stretching. So taking those same, like let's say you're trying to stretch your calves and hamstrings, instead of holding that stretch with your toe up and your leg extended, you would be doing kind of what I'm doing here, but with a kick. Right? And we've seen that, although you want to keep your back straight. You're not trying to tuck your butt under. But you would kick, kick, kick. So for swimmers, instead of stretching like that and holding it for 30 seconds, we would be doing something like whoo, whoo, whoo.
Which is often what we see swimmers do right before they jump into the pool.
Yes. So that way we're getting it's called reciprocal inhibition of those muscles when the opposite side, the antagonist muscle, is activating to pull your joint into, to pull the other side of the joint into a lengthened position, but then it comes right back, right? So you keep things really, really active.
And so I have one slight follow-up with that, and it is, how do we convince the athlete that they don't have to feel the stretch in order for it to be effective?
Such a great question. So one of the reasons that we really like to stretch, I love to stretch. I really shouldn't stretch. I have hypermobile joints. I don't really need stretching, right? And those middle of the game athletes don't need static stretching. What's happening is they're getting input, right, from their joint receptors and their mechanoreceptors that something is happening and they like that feeling. It's also an inhibitor to pain, all these messages. So just because they are feeling something doesn't mean that something is good, right? It's just the same as when someone says, wow, doc, or wow, trainer or physical therapist, I keep stretching my da-da-da-da-da, and it keeps on hurting all the time. Well, it could be because that thing doesn't need stretching. It could be already long, but we keep doing it because we can feel it. We can feel something happening. And that sensation is just sending a message to the brain. But that message could be, if the muscle's already tense, that message that's going to go is actually going to be an inhibitory message, right? It's going to be a gamma loop that's going to say, oh, wait a minute, that's not working, okay? So, oh, I'm sorry, that was incorrect. It's going to be not the inhibitory message that calms it down. It's going to be excitatory if you keep on stretching something that doesn't need it. So anyway.
So long story short, dynamic is the way to go, even if you don't feel it the same way.
Even if you don't feel it, right? The sensation's going to be less. If you really want to feel something, use a roller or another myofascial technique and feel it after your game.
Thanks, Laura.
You're welcome.